Hello learners, welcome to our series on ethics, integrity and aptitude. Today we are starting unit 5, that is emotional intelligence. Alright, now before starting I wish to share a quote by the famous poet Kalidas. He said that in matter where doubt intervenes, the natural inclination of the heart of a good person becomes the authority or decisive factor. Now I'm not going to discuss this quote over here because by the end of the session you are yourself going to understand this, right? Let's begin. So before understanding the typical language, or rather than language I should say, the definition of emotional intelligence or emotions, let us discuss something, right? Because you are familiar with emotions already. It's not like it's something new for you. But then again, there is a catch. The things that you are used to listen and used to understanding, a problem comes up in ethics paper that you are facing a difficulty. Many students face difficulty in writing what they understand. Getting the point? So let's discuss this first. Azim Premji and Bill Gates, what do they have in common? They gave billions of dollars to charity. Now, what was the emotion behind it? Right? The emotion was compassion. So this is how you have to analyze in GS paper 4. What about a suicide terrorist? What they were thinking when they blew themselves up? What was the reason or the emotion? Anger, hatred. They are brainwashed to think in this manner. What about civil servants like Mr. Manjunath? What about Satyendra Dubey ji and our soldiers? They sacrifice part of their life or even their lives. Why? What is the emotion behind that? It's the service of the nation and not the service of the self. I hope you are getting my point. So let us understand now the technical definition of emotion. See, emotions do happen in your mind, but they are not just related to your mind. Only thing that is related to your mind is feelings. So if something is happening only in your mind, it is a feeling. But when a body or an action of a body is involved, it leads to emotions. So emotions have different parts. Let us see the definition. They are mental reactions subjectively experienced as strong feelings, usually directed towards a specific object and typically accompanied by physiological and behavioral changes in the body. I just explained this thing only in very simple manner. So the part of emotions are, first of all, strong feelings, then it is towards a specific object, and then there is a behavioral change in the body. For example, if while trekking you face a tiger, or let's say while doing a safari, suddenly an elephant starts running towards you. There are many videos on the internet that elephants have started running behind safari vehicles. There is also one video in which two people are going on a motorcycle and a tiger starts running behind them, right? They escape just by the difference of a inch, right? So what happens when you have these stimuli in the environment? Stimuli, you have a reaction, an emotion is generated in your body, right? So emotions like fear, hatred and love, they have physical sensations in your body. For example, when you face such dangerous situations, your body will go through something which is called fight or flight. Either you will stand and fight if you can, or you will take a flight. You will try to run. And these things are observed how? Because the blood rushes to your legs. If you want to run, the blood will rush to your legs and it will give it more power so that you have strength to run away from a danger. What about feelings? They are just the mental experiences of your emotions. So feelings plus bodily expression leads to emotion, right? I hope you understand. What are type of emotions? primary emotions. They are the first reactions. For example, seeing a tiger. What is the first reaction? Fear. This is the primary emotion, right? They are universal in nature and linked to specific events or situations. For example, if you win a competition, you are happy, you will feel happiness, you will feel joy. Otherwise, you will feel sad if you lose the competition, right? All of us have experienced these emotions one time or the other in our lives. What about secondary emotions? These are basically reactions to primary emotions. Let's understand something. There is a stimuli like the tiger. So that led to fear, which is the primary emotion, right? So this is the cause, this is the effect. In terms of secondary emotion, the cause is primary emotion and effect is secondary. Effect is secondary emotion. Getting the point? So cause and effect you need to understand. So these are reactions to primary emotions and they are more complex, often influenced by personal experiences, beliefs and thoughts. For example, hopelessness is a common secondary emotion. Shame. For example, if we make a mistake in public, we think that all of the people are criticizing you because you are criticizing yourself. So according to your personal belief, complex emotions are created. Secondary emotions are created, right? What about intelligence? We have seen emotions now. What about intelligence? As you can see, this bag, it is not packed properly, right? So when you first start learning how to pack a bag, you obviously don't do it properly. You do it in a haphazard manner. But as you grow up, you slowly learn how to fold things properly, how much stuff can fit in a bag. Let's say you are living in a hostel and you are traveling by flight to your home. Now flights have 15 kg limits, some flights have more, right? So they can give you this allowance for carrying the baggage. Now you will now use your intelligence in order to remove things that are not necessary, correct? What about this? This is a fire. Let's say this was the time it was discovered. After the discovery, slowly using our intelligence, humans started using it for cooking the food. They started for killing organisms, right? Nowadays we are using it in internal combustion engines in cars and motor vehicles, correct? So intelligence is basically learning from our past, from our mistakes, right? And adapting to the environment. So intelligence is defined as the capacity of an individual to think rationally, act purposefully, deal effectively with his environment. Rationally means using reason, right? And what about environment? See, if there is cold outside, you will use a blanket. If there is a lot of heat outside, you will use AC in your room. So you adapt to the environment. This is the part of intelligence. Yes. What about emotional intelligence? Now combine these two things. Emotional intelligence is the ability to feel and think comprehensively, act purposefully, and deal effectively with our emotional environment. Now, I have just added emotional word in the definition of intelligence. For example, maintaining your relationships with your siblings. See, siblings fight, right? But they cannot always fight. If they keep fighting all the time, they will tear the relationship and they will grow apart, right? But sometimes situations are unavoidable. But mostly we can always amend our relationship with our siblings. So that needs intelligence. What about emotional intelligence? This was introduced by 1919 Meyer and Salovey. It means set of skills that involves the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings, to discriminate among them so as to use that information to guide one's thinking and actions. So basically, usage of emotions for purposeful acts. That is the main idea behind emotional intelligence. That means you should use your emotions rather than letting your emotions use you. Hence, it integrates emotions and intelligence. Right? Now, there are different models with regards to understanding emotional intelligence. First one is given by Meyer and Salovey. So there are 4 parts of emotional intelligence. First part is perceiving the emotion. You perceive, you look for the emotion, like how somebody is behaving. How? By their body language, by their tone. If somebody is talking in a very chilled manner, you will understand that they are not angry. And if your father is coming like thumping the floor and you have done a mistake, so the father is angry. So you understand your father's angry behavior even before he says something by the body language, right? Next is understanding the emotion. That means you have an ability to see why someone is angry. Like I said, if you have done a mistake, your father will be angry. So you try to negotiate with your father, like, okay, I'm sorry, I will not do this again, right? So you try to understand the emotion they are feeling. Next is managing the emotion. That means turning negative emotion to positive and reducing the effect of negative. How? Let's say you started this preparation with a lot of guts and a lot of hopes and everything, but after 3 to 6 months you realize syllabus is huge, lot of test series are there, lot of competition is there. So what are you going to do? Some people leave the preparation, some people continue the preparation under the pressure of something else like parents hopes and everything, but some people turn that negative emotion to positive emotion, and then only you are emotionally intelligent. For example, when you're feeling such negative emotions, you can watch some good movie, or you can remind yourself why you started the preparation, right? Your own hopes, your parents' hopes, like this. So use those hopes in a positive manner to motivate you rather than giving you pressure. Now that is difficult, and that is why emotional intelligence is not often seen in young people. Slowly you learn. Then finally, using the emotions. That means how we react and respond to the emotions that we perceive, right? So I hope you understand this model. Next model is by Mr. Daniel Goleman. He improved on that model and gave us 4 categories: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. Let us see them one by one. So the first thing is emotional awareness. That means you should be aware of your own emotions, right? Next is self-management. That means emotional self-control. I'll show you an example of Kiran Bedi. She exercised self-control in order to react to a situation. Okay. Then there is adaptability. That means you reduce the emotions effect in order to do a task. Let's say you panic in the exam, right? In the exam hall, you're giving prelims examination and suddenly you are not able to solve 10 questions directly. So what will happen? Panic will set in. So at that time, you need to adapt to the situation. You need to breathe and calm down and then go on for your task. Then there should be an achievement orientation. That means you need to have some passion towards something. Last is positive outlook towards life. Then there is social awareness. Let's go to the next slide first. Social awareness. This includes empathy and organizational awareness. Now, empathy means putting yourself in someone else's shoes and then understanding their problem. Organizational awareness means the politics of organization, how the politics is going on, how much bootlicking is favored in the organization, or how much professionalism is there. So you need to understand the culture, the environment of the organization, and then behave. Last is relationship management. You use all these 3 things, right? And you try to influence people by managing their emotions, your own emotion. You coach and mentor people. Like many times students come to me and call me at 11 p.m. also before the prelims exam, and they're tensed. So at that time I have to manage their emotions by having my awareness of my own emotions. Like I want to sleep, I'm also stressed out, I'm also tired, but still I have to cater to the needs of the student because they are giving the exam tomorrow. Then there is conflict management, then teamwork, inspirational leadership. All these parts will come once you have done all these 3 previous steps, right? Now we come and connect Gita with emotional intelligence. There is a very famous word, Sthit Pragya. This means stable mind. Now what happens is, in life, situations are never smooth. Life is never smooth. It goes up and down, right? On birthday you are very happy, on a death of relative you are very sad, right? So things keep flowing, emotions keep flowing. So what should we do? Now what happens is, let's say you are very happy, somebody gave you, let's say, 10,000 rupees, right? You're very happy, and what you do is you go out and party with your friends and spend 5,000 rupees in one night, right? So that is not good. Similarly, let's say you're sad and your let's say breakup happened, so you fall into depression. That is also not good. Let's say prelims didn't go through in the first attempt, you fall into depression. No, not good. So what needs to be done? You need to have a stable mind. That is the point of sthit pragya, which says you need to have balanced reaction to emotions. Balanced reaction to emotions. So see, a person can be described as sthit pragya when he will always be in peace and will not be affected by the outcome of his deeds. So what happens is, you keep thinking that what if I not clear the exam? What if I am not able to clear the exam, right? What if I propose to someone and she says no? So all these what if questions create stress in your mind. And when you're not affected by the outcomes, then you become sthit pragya. And how can you do that? By focusing on your duty. By focusing on your duty alone and not thinking about the outcomes, right? So you have to live in the present, right? And this is applicable for both aspirant and the administrator. Okay, right. Now let us come to practical examples of administrators. I'll be discussing the case study, and this is not in a question format, but something happened in the life of an IPS officer. We are going to analyze according to the emotional intelligence used by them, right? So first example is by Kiran Bedi ji. So what happened was, she was posted in Mizoram, and there is a drink called Zoo, which is a cultural alcoholic drink. So many of her juniors were alcoholics, right? So at first she didn't stop them because it was part of the culture, but she also didn't want this to go on and on. Okay, so what happened was, she opened an indoor de-addiction facility for alcoholic policemen. Secondly, she realized that Mizoram is a Christian majority state. So she used Christian culture, that means prayers of Christianity, and declared Saturday for prayers and rehabilitation at district police stations, right? And her superintendent of police, who was atheist, he opposed this, but still she went ahead. Now every Saturday, criminals would be brought to the police station and they would learn and receive treatment for alcoholism. So now let us see the emotional intelligence analysis. We are using the keywords from models which we just saw. So she created self-awareness. How? She saw her emotions of anger towards these things, but she controlled it, and she did not enforce an immediate ban. She understood, as an outsider, she could not be seen interfering with local culture. Now, in this solution, if you understand one thing, she did not ban the alcoholic drink. She only focused on rehab, right? So that was also very subtle and very, very creative solution. She also showed empathy and cultural sensitivity. How? Since Zoo was the cultural drink, she did not stop from making it, right? She did not ban it, right? So she prevented any initial backlash against her. Now this also led to build-up of trust in her. So when later on she introduced Saturday prayers, people supported her. Also, emotional regulation. She did not take any rash reaction. She took a well thought out solution. So the point is, emotions will help you knowing what you want to do, but you have to apply cognitive facilities of your mind, faculties of your mind. That means you have to think and then do. Don't just keep thinking and not doing. Don't just keep flowing in emotions and not doing. Combine both and do your thing to achieve the goal. Then she leveraged cultural values like social awareness, because she used Christianity prayers on Saturday. So she just didn't respect the culture, but she used the culture for helping the people. Finally, conflict resolution and leadership, because her senior opposed this, but she showed resilience and optimism, and she had faith that this is going to work. So she kept herself committed for the greater good, right? Next, Aligarh SSP Akash Kulhadi case study. He was an IPS. What happened was there were anti-CAA protests going on in 2019 in Aligarh Muslim University, and around 5,000 students had gathered there. So things were at the brink of turning into very bad situation. You can imagine 5,000 angry protesters, right? So what happened was Mr. Kulhadi took a megaphone and interacted with the crowd directly, even though his colleagues said, please do not do it. So what he said was, you have a right to protest, but this protest has to be in the limits of democratic freedom. If you break this limit, then I too have the right to protect the law of the land. So if you remain peaceful, I will stand by you. Now, please go and see this video. He was, people reacted with claps, and they did listen to him. Right now, why did this happen and what he was thinking? He first of all showed empathy and respect for democratic values, because he said that you can protest, but this should be in the ambit of democratic freedom. That means do not go for violence, right? So he didn't want to suppress the protest. Remember, he didn't want to stop or ban the process of people demanding something. Next, he showed courage and ethical leadership. Why courage? Because he faced 5,000 angry people. He went ahead and talked to the people directly rather than executing a command and creating just barricades, right? He showed ethical leadership because ethical leadership means it's not just about the authority you have, but also about guiding others towards peaceful and constructive outcomes. Now, I've created a very beautiful sentence. You can use this in conclusion directly on leadership, basically ethical leadership. And you should use such keywords in GS paper 4. Next, social awareness. He understood that situation could escalate rapidly, especially if the protesters moved beyond the campus gates, where outside influences, let's say some criminal people, or let's say some people who just want to create ruckus, right? Because students usually just want to protest in a safe manner, right? But sometimes political elements are there who will not care about that. They will enter the protest and then try to achieve their own agendas. He recognized that heightened emotions and the potential for violence. Hence, he managed it carefully. That was the point. So this is a positive example also. He set up a positive example for the police. Finally, his communication was, this is the last, right? Yeah. So finally, his communication was very, very direct. He simply was clear and direct. He said, yes, you have the right to protest, but you do not have the right to break the law, right? Tone was respectful. He addressed the crowd as aap, tum, not tu, right? Also, right. So he addressed the crowd as aap only. Okay. Now, he was also solution oriented. He said, please maintain a peaceful environment. Keep doing your protest. I'm not stopping you from doing the protest. Be peaceful. Let me do my job. You do your job, and we'll go ahead together, right? All right. So that is all for this session. I hope you understand the concept behind emotional intelligence and how actually an administrator can practically use it to enrich their life and enrich the social well-being of the citizens, right? So thank you so much.